Last Starfighter.
You're back with giant freaking robot.
Wow!
It can feel like everything is being remade these days, with the 80s in particular turning into a gold mine for Hollywood studios.
Let's dance!
We've already received a new Conan, Footloose,
Let's dance!
Karate Kid, and even Time Bandits. But the one remake that would actually work and be a license to print money hasn't happened yet. We're talking about The Last Starfighter. Is a remake happening? Stay tuned till the end of this video for the latest on if, when and how the franchise is being resurrected. What's clear is that given how popular video games are, The Last Starfighter is still the ideal fantasy of a new generation. Who wouldn't love finding out that their video game is real, and now you have to go save an entire alien civilization?
Wait a minute, you mean like in a game?
Oh, he's quick. He's quick. He's very quick. He's speechless.
I remember the 80s, and I'd still love for that plot to be true.
You interested?
I guess.
The Last Starfighter is the greatest example of a simple sci-fi concept executed well. The movie's title is a reference to both the name of a video game in the story and a rank given to a specially talented individual. A starfighter is a job, not a ship.
My apologies, Starfighter.
In context of the film, a starfighter is a being who mans the weapons on a gun star. A gun star is basically a space-going fighter craft, like an X-Wing from Star Wars or a Star Fury from Babylon 5. Only, it's cooler than both. The entire plot of The Last Starfighter is that Alex, an angry, going-nowhere teenager, is really good at playing a game called Starfighter. He's so good that once he gets the high score, the game's creator, Centauri, meets with him.
Centauri's the name. I invented Starfighter, which is why I'm here.
And then kidnaps him and replaces him with an android. Centauri was tasked with using Starfighter to find recruits for the Ryland Star League in their conflict with the Conan Empire. Whisked up into the stars and teamed with an alien pilot named Grig, played with gusto by Dan O'Herlihy, Alex is now the galaxy's last hope to save us all from a malevolent invading force. It's creative little details that make The Last Starfighter special. Beta Alex, the earthly robot replacement for our hero, is hilarious, scary, and impressive all at once.
Should I talk dirty to you now?
The strange background of Grig's family adds a fun dimension to his character.
I live below ground with my wife Boyd and 6,000 little Griglings.
Catherine Mary Stewart as Maggie is the most perfect teenage girlfriend ever seen on screen, outside of Jennifer in Back to the Future. Last Starfighter's side characters at the trailer park all hit memorable notes too. And their unwavering support of Alex, their way of returning all the kindness he's shown them over the years, is a beating heart at the center of the film. Most of all, there's Robert Preston as the enigmatic Centauri.
You don't seriously think it's dangerous, do you? Don't be silly.
He's the closest I've seen any movie come to matching the on-screen mentor magic of Back to the Future's Doc Brown.
What's all the brouhaha?
The Last Starfighter is so pure and so classic in its storytelling style that English professors could use it to teach Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. The film achieves every single beat with all the grace and elegance of Babylon 5's Kosh.
Yes.
The Last Starfighter, mostly only because it was released in 1984, was accused of ripping off Star Wars by critics at the time. But that could be said of almost every sci-fi movie released after George Lucas's box office dominance. In the case of The Last Starfighter, it's not a fair critique. The Last Starfighter is more of a starry fairy tale, complete with the feel-good, everyone gets a moment of happiness ending. Not every sci-fi movie needs to launch a trilogy or have enough meat on its bones to create decades of merchandising opportunities. Often the most satisfying movies get in, tell a fun story, and get out. And few movies are more satisfying than The Last Starfighter. Like that Star Wars rip-off complaint, most of the flack the movie got from critics was for all the wrong reasons. Roger Ebert, in a rare review misstep, called it pretty lame material. At the same time, Ebert and other critics praised The Last Starfighter for its use of computer graphics, standing alongside Tron as an early pioneer of CGI.
We had done an X-Wing fighter ship test for George Lucas in '78.
I wanted to prove that it was possible to use the computer system to create more exciting story points and more dynamics on the screen.
A Cray supercomputer created the special effects, which sounds strange today when a smartphone has more processing power.
They had a computer that took up a whole room.
The result was 300 scenes of spaceship CGI and a 1983 eye-popping budget of $14 million. Unfortunately, those special effects don't hold up at all. That's not the movie's fault. Technology has simply progressed. Conceptually, the film's effects are still great. That Cray supercomputer just wasn't up to the challenge of meeting modern CGI standards. That's only one of many reasons The Last Starfighter is so ripe for a remake. When The Last Starfighter is finally remade, those space battle scenes will be able to match the quality of the movie's still relevant story. Ready Player One proved audiences love stories about going into their favorite games, and that movie's story isn't half as good as The Last Starfighter. It is, however, proof that The Last Starfighter is already as perfect for the kids of today as it was for the kids of the 80s. Every gamer dreams of being praised for their skill. I should know, I won a Mech Warrior Team tournament in 2005, and you better believe I still work that into every conversation. Yes, I still wear the first place t-shirt. And in the last few years, Hollywood has stayed away from films about being a gamer to bring games to life instead. But that resulted in Borderlands.
One of you kill the other. I'm gonna go get a coffee.
We all agree that movie was a horrible mistake, so why not get back to basics? The worst thing I can say about The Last Starfighter is that a true video game tie-in never happened. The NES game called The Last Starfighter was a renamed version of another game. And the Atari game was just a bunch of shapes which had little to do with the film. And so, when the remake happens, at least we'll finally get the perfect video game tie-in. By approaching The Last Starfighter as it was meant to be, namely, wish fulfillment and a fairy tale instead of a hard sci-fi epic, it's still as charming today as it was back then. The movie's over-the-top 80s acting and cheesy costumes are now a great reminder of the way magic can happen when sci-fi doesn't take itself so seriously. It can be great. And The Last Starfighter was great. It'll be even better again. So where's that Last Starfighter remake? Some iteration of a Last Starfighter sequel has been in development since at least 2005, but if you think that means it's close to fruition, think again. Things were looking so good that 3 years ago we got a concept trailer for The Last Starfighter 2 from writer and director Gary Whitta. But in 2022, Whitta took to Twitter and said, "To be honest, there's a decent chance it never happens. But if it doesn't, it won't be for the lack of effort on my and John's part." The John that Whitta mentioned is John Bachule, who wrote the screenplay for The Last Starfighter and has been attached to the sequel ever since the original director Nick Castle was hoping to helm a follow-up himself. Whitta, who is best known as the writer of 2016's Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, was the most recent director hoping to take the project on. Last year, Whitta was singing a much different song, saying on Twitch, "We're very, very close. We're basically on the 1-yard line, and I believe it will happen." Since Whitta did not expand on Twitter about what stopped The Last Starfighter sequel on the proverbial 1-yard line, there's no way to know for sure what happened. More recently, Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell have expressed interest in remaking this classic 80s movie. How serious they are about getting something done remains to be seen. Decades before The Last Starfighter sequel was in development, the original film hit theaters to modest box office returns. It wasn't a failure and it's not a dead franchise. But for now, it seems like it may be a while before the movie gets a much-deserved revival. Things need to change, and it's up to you. You have been recruited by the Star League
Oh my god!
to bring back The Last Starfighter.
Woo!
Like and share this video to let Hollywood know you'll pay to see it. And as long as you're in the fight, subscribe to this channel to activate Death Blossom. Until next time, this has been Giant Freakin' Robot.
What do we do? We die.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sewer and the Conan Armada. Get ready. Prepare for blast off.